I can always end it. I can always end it and I can edit it.
Yeah.
What we intend to do is record these meetings for archival purposes. And we will let everybody know that that's our intention at every meeting, is to record them going forward. Okay. So we have, I think the structure of the meeting, is to talk about membership, to talk about programming, to talk about communications, for there to be a report from the board of directors, and to discuss any other business as needed. So shall we jump into the membership piece? Eileen, do you want to share with us an update from the membership?
So we have about 15 targets, and we made 6 very good connections with people who want to start up or are existing and want to be more involved. We had a number of requests that people were looking for their block associations, and we pointed them in the right direction. But as far as new sources, we have 6 connections and we're working on that.
And we have one new group, don't we?
We do have one new group, 102 and 103. Very interesting group, and they are, at least the gentleman we spoke to, a source of tremendous amount of information and history of block associations, resources, things like that.
And for everybody, so 102, 103, they've been around for 50 or 51 years. They're well established, and Eileen and the membership committee, spoke with them, and the process was then to introduce them to the board. We had a board sort of mid-month meeting where the board met with and shared what the coalition's all about. They shared what they're all about, and everybody agreed that they would be, well, certainly more than value added to the group, and a bona fide organization, and we look forward to having them participate. Eileen, anything else from the membership side of things? Eileen, you're muted. I think we lost Eileen.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, okay.
We're just going to continue with the connections that we have and keep going after the targeted people. It's not an easy thing to ask somebody to start a block association. So, it takes 3 or 4 contacts with a group before things start rolling. And just getting our name out there more and establishing more connections, and we'll start growing.
Great.
And we should have a map pretty soon, right, Eileen?
Yes. Penny's brother is a professional map maker. And one of the things I've been working on is making a map of what blocks have block associations, which ones do not, which blocks sometimes have 2 or 3 different block associations. And I had done it on an Excel spreadsheet. So Penny's brother volunteered to make a professional one for us.
That's awesome. Okay, shall we move along then to the program committee? There's been some conversation. I don't know if this is something that, well, there was email circulated about programming, and we put together a list of items that were of interest: block association management, sidewalk gardens, local history project, store vacancies, environment and pollution. And Melissa had jumped in and said, we need to include, noise pollution as well. Construction, land use, congestion pricing, transportation, rats sanitation, homeless and housing, crime and safety, diversity, inclusion, and equity were some of the programming topics that we listed, and everybody seemed to be good with working off that list. There was some discussion at the board level about after the primary, whether it would make sense to invite the primary winners to a meeting, whether it's borough president or city council. I think people feel like, even in spite of the heavy tilt towards Democrats, that it would be unfair to invite a primary winner to a meeting as the primary candidate without inviting somebody from the other side. So we wanted to share that as part of this discussion, see how everybody felt. If everybody agreed that we should wait until the complete election is finished in November before inviting our next borough president or our next city council member to a coalition meeting. Penny?
If we invite one side, then I think that labels us political.
Right.
And I think the question was, do we want to have candidates come on, or do we want to wait till after the November election, when then we will know who will be both our new borough president and our new council members, of which there are really sort of two really that might be worthy of discussing as guests. And obviously they don't take office until January. But do we want to have, the Democrat and the Republican or the Independent come on and talk about Upper West Side issues? That's the sort of question. And as Penny said, I think we all agree that, Chris, I think, mentioned the thought that, well, we'd have to have all the parties, represented. And I think we all agree on that. The question is, do we feel that's useful and beneficial for block associations? Or do we feel it might be more beneficial to work on some of these other topics that we have Chris just mentioned with our working list, and hold off on the politicians till they are our elected officials?
Dale?
I agree with Chris. I think we should hold off with the politicians until they are actually voted into office, because then they're in a position to actually do something for block associations. And this programming committee list is very awesome. And there's a tremendous amount of issues, and the issues really do affect almost every single block of block associations. So my feeling is that we should wait until these people are voted into office and then have them come back and see what they say about what they want to do for the Upper West Side.
I agree.
Okay. So I think there has been some interest in doing some block association type events, something that brings people together, something that's maybe even a bit, fun and celebratory. So I've reached out through a contact from Dale to the Hargrave House, which is off of Columbus Avenue in the 70s, and they have a meeting space that they allow community groups to use. I think maybe for a modest amount of money, like $25, where we could have a meeting. But there was also some talk about maybe we do some programming around block association management. So I just wanted to put that out there to everybody, see how they felt about the next few months, what kind of what kind of program that we wanted to work on. Any thoughts?
How about a social happy hour or something down at the 72nd Street Cafe, or someplace where we can just get together and meet face to face? I mean, a lot of us have never really met face to face before. And even these new members that were mentioned, the 6 new members, invite them, and just kind of you know, have a leaders, not leaders, but all of us and people that are currently in the coalition, you know, get together in August sometime or whatever.
Could also
Yes.
set something up like that at the Hargrave House and bring some stuff in where people can sit at tables and we won't have other people involved in what we're doing and have a real opportunity to talk to each other and actually see each other. I think there's a tremendous amount of benefit of in-person meetings. And I mean, Zoom is wonderful and great, but now we're at the point where we, at least the board or something and the committee should get together in one room together. And
Do you mean I have to walk 8 minutes down the street instead of just sit in front of my computer?
well, that's true.
So
The
do we
hard-
feel,
Membership,
do we feel,
the
are we,
membership committee we met in person.
are we ready? Does anybody have any concerns about in-person meetings or indoor meetings, or are we past that now?
Well, I think if we have it at the Hargrave House, it's very, very large, 71st Street off of Columbus. And the room itself is quite big and it has a high ceiling. They've redone the whole thing and they could actually set up long tables so people could sit at the tables. I don't have a problem with that kind of a meeting.
Do we have to pay for it, for that room?
I'll be happy to pay the $25 or whatever it is it costs to have this meeting. I think it is very important that we do it, and I'm happy to pay it out of my own pocket.
Yeah, and you know, the other thought, I think the Hargrave House is really convenient and a good space, but the other thought, of course, is that we could do these meetings on a rotating basis, and each member entity could host in their local, you know, establishment. Like we do our meetings sometimes in a local church, or maybe somebody does a local synagogue or another community center, and we could also do it that way if that's useful or interesting to people.
I think that after a year of this, in August will be a year, we're overdue in gathering physically. And I think that's a wonderful thing. The details of which I don't think are that critical. I think we can do that. However, I do think it is important to identify issues that we feel are the work of the coalition to help block associations better understand the opportunities they have for engagement. And some of the issues are very complicated. And one of them is I find extremely complex, is this whole issue of land use. And what is our role? How do we play a role in participating in the dialogue about what happens on our blocks, in our communities, and what are the resources in our, and I think having a program where we have a couple of people who have been engaged in these activities, like Olive and a few others, Landmarks West, and I think can really give us sort of a little bit of a chalk talk and a little bit of understanding, you know, what the terrain is that we can be involved in and take questions about it, I think is a valuable resource that then we can put up on our website as a resource and show that we are addressing issues that as a coalition, we're able to marshal together information that may be more difficult for an individual block association to undertake themselves. And I'm sure there's other issues in that, but I think that's one of them that is at the forefront in our entire community and impacting all of us in varying ways over a period of time.
Are you saying, Steve, have that as our initial meeting at the Hargrave House?
No,
Okay.
No, I think we should get together and figure out a way to be together and to invite people who'd like to be with us, because I think there's value in coming together, in congregating together. I think there is strength in numbers, okay, more than just boxes that are like that. I got that. But I also think that we need to start thinking about the substance of the core issues that are also important at the same time. And I just suggested that as as one of them. And that can probably be done if we want in person, or it could be done on Zoom. It is a little more challenging in person to distribute content than on Zoom. Zoom and YouTube are easier ways to share content than simply capturing events in a room. That creates a whole other challenge. So there's no reason we can't use Zoom as a tool, just not be prisoner to it as our only way to communicate.
I think if we
The
did
one thing-
like an initial meet and greet at Hargrave House, inviting other block associations, that would give us a lot of information, which could really help define our programming. Issues, hearing from people like, what are your issues? Would you be interested in hearing about land zoning issues?
I mean, we kind of did that.
I'm not so sure that we won't really, if we get together, be with ourselves and a few people who will join us, which is great. It'll be great to have them, but even the 6 interested, I would hope would join us, and maybe more. And maybe we would make it an open meeting to let people know that that we're having this open house discussion. That might be a way to both generate some interest in membership and in participation, also be a sociable moment, okay? And if we do that, we need to have a little bit of a program. We can't just toast ourselves for 90 minutes. We need to have like some
Right.
there, a little bit of substance at Hargrave House or wherever. I think that could be a combination of those things, but you can't share that easily because you don't have a recording of it easily to put on a website for access. So it's more of a social and an engagement gathering than it is a program of shareable information.
But we need engagement too, though.
My question is, do we get into the, I'll call them policy issues, whether, zoning or congestion pricing or what have you, or do we initially get into block association management kind of sessions, kind of programming at the start?
To me, we should probably pick maybe one topic and just kind of focus on that one topic. Sometimes if you introduce 2 or 3 topics to a group of people that have never met each other for the first time, it can be difficult to communicate. And I think if we just, come up, or the program committee comes up with one particular topic that we would talk at an in-person meeting, I think we would have a lot more success that way. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know how everyone else feels about it.
I guess my perspective is we're going to probably we have the opportunity to have a different program every month. And so my perspective is that, like that list that I read at the top, there would be one per month that we would organize, like Steve said, you could have, Sean Corsandi from Landmark West come, and maybe Olive Freud joins for a conversation about land use issues in our neighborhoods.
Right.
And then, when you talk about congestion pricing, Steve, you mentioned, I forget the fellow's name.
Sam Schwartz. I can ask Sam to come.
Who's like
Sam,
the godfather of,
congestion.
The congestion engineer and expert. So we would have that sort of thing. And I guess my question was, do we jump right in with those kinds of meetings, or do we start with a meeting about here's how different block associations have been formed, and here's the tools that they have, and sort of block association management conversation, and get to the policy stuff later? Sorry, Penny?
So why don't we have, I think the hot topic is this zoning thing. At least it is with our block. I mean, it's the nightmare. Why not advertise it as a social thing with this as the topic, and then open it up for other suggestions. So we have a lead topic, but we're also open to other people's ideas.
And it would be good if we could come
And
up
so-
with, sorry, Eileen.
I can't hear.
I was just saying it would be good if we could publish, if we could come up with the topics for the next 12 months or whatever and publish them so that the public knows what each one is, what each month is focused on.
Well, we've got a list. I mean,
Yeah.
we could easily spend a year doing all the things I mentioned, right? Sidewalk gardens and local history and store vacancies, environment and pollution, sound pollution, construction, which is different than land use, congestion pricing, which is its own thing outside of just transportation, rats, which can be separate of sanitation, homeless and housing, crime and safety, diversity, inclusion and equity, et cetera. That would easily fill up more
Right.
than a year.
And it would be good for us to come up with some action items. I mean, you don't want it to turn into like a bitch session. Oh yeah, rats are a problem. I think some real concrete ways that we can be helpful to people.
Well, for example, if we did the rats as a meeting, would we make it a Rat Academy meeting?
Right, exactly.
Would you have that team come out and would you make it a whole thing?
Yes. I think to be really helpful and in sync with our mission, I think it has to be meaningful and substantial for people to come out and listen to what's being said. And we want to be an organization that has a reputation for putting out really good information that's helpful and, helpful tips on how to combat these issues on a very local level.
So I guess we'll put it back to the program committee to sequence these and flesh them out so we have the right experts and organize people's availability. And we'll jump into it. Penny?
Maybe not something that's so available. I mean, I'm obsessed with the rat problem, but I've been to Rat Academy twice and anyone can go to Rat Academy. So why should we provide Rat Academy? Why don't we do something a little more original? If it's about rats, get some, one of us put something together that would really help more than Rat Academy. Doesn't really do anything.
I think the Rat Academy is pretty encyclopedic and comprehensive. I don't know if I could do better than those guys, but if you want to flesh that out a little bit, that'd be great.
I don't know. I was not inspired by them.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, Eileen, you didn't find it that helpful.
It's actually Penny talking, not me.
Oh, sorry, Penny. Sorry,
we're one and whatever. Yeah, but if you can go to Rat Academy, it's like reading a speech. Why read a speech why have a speech when you can read the speech? And why should we devote our evening to Rat Academy when they have Rat Academy?
I mean, maybe what we should be doing is having the city come talk about composting for buildings. You know what I'm saying? Because that's
what I was just going to say. Like, composting is really the issue. Right. The rats are here because of the food. The rats are here because they do disgustingly eat dog poop that doesn't get picked up. The rats are here because they burrow in tree guards and all this other stuff. Like, there's so much to it. And then what are your resources? So, for example, we had a big rat problem on our street in one building in their planters. And I reached out to the management and they're like, well, we don't know what to do. And I go, this is what you do. I showed them what to do and they did it, shockingly. And the rats were gone in a week. Right. Those are like real life things that can be done that can mediate the problem.
And composting is huge. It's
huge.
It's known to solve the problem.
Look,
why aren't more buildings doing it? It's easy.
I always tell people that rats, the Upper West Side is a great place to raise a rat family. You've got a buffet of food every night. You've got a place to live. If you're a rat, it's a great place to live.
Department of Sanitation is starting in August requesting buildings that want to do composting, those are those brown containers that they put at the curb, and they're requesting that people either use a sanitation form or go on 311 and register, because starting in October, in accordance with the demand, they will do curbside picking up of composting. And I think, we should get the word out. I know I told my block association about this, and I will continue to tell them about this. Our 100 block is pretty okay with the rats, but the 200 block is really bad. And it's really because of the restaurant just not wanting to follow the right information in regards to putting out their garbage, and that some people will take their garbage and put them out in the tree wells because there are brownstones there and pickups are very strange and stuff. But that is coming up. And I think, Chris, what you said about the Department of Sanitation, maybe having them come and discuss about the composting for blocks and buildings is a really great idea. People, I know when I put this out in the email, I got a lot of positive feedback because people were really into it. I know that the green market at Columbus between like 77th Street and stuff, there is composting there up until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And people said, oh boy, if we could go back to what we had before, that would be great. So that might be a really good topic.
Mm-hmm.
A good one. It's not just the composting, it's also the sorting. People throw their carton into the real garbage pail, so there's no room for the garbage. And I've been fighting that for years. As I say, we don't need Rat Academy to tell us that. We need to make some concrete suggestions, maybe provide some signs that people can put on their trash cans or something.
Okay.
I have signs on my trash cans, and I think I have problems with reading.
Yeah, we do too.
We have 3: household, paper goods, and plastic and glass, and aluminum foil and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so we'll take this back to the program committee. We'll work towards having an in-person meeting, possibly at the Hargrave House next month and perhaps thereafter. And we'll take the list back to the program committee and start working on.
If you want a social part of it, I'll do the baking.
Awesome.
I'm always good for that.
Thank you so much. We'll count on that. These are monthly meetings, by the way. You've just signed up for year 1, right?
As long as I haven't gone back to work.
Okay, cool. Moving on to communications. I think everybody knows that we have the logo is complete and beautiful. Thank you, Gail. It's up on all the social media and the website. And further to communications and kind of programming, I just wanted to report that our candidate forums, the borough president forum reached 400 people.
Oh, that's great.
And the city council forum reached about 350 people on our website. And I don't know how everybody did it, but like for our block association, following the forums, we continued to share the YouTube links. We find that repetition helps because some people read the newsletters, some people don't read the newsletters. They wait till the next newsletter to read the newsletter. So, I think, it's been a nice tool. It was a nice service to do to the community to have those forums, and they can, continue to exist for us. One thing that we like to do, and that we've talked about in the past, further to communications for the website, is to start gathering information on each of our block associations so that we can all have our individual pages on the website. So I guess what I'd like to request is that everybody, maybe there's, some short text, maybe your own logo, maybe a photograph. If you share that with me, I can start building that out onto the website so that we all have representation on it. Does that make sense?
If we have a website ourselves, you can link it.
Yes, of course. And all the relevant information, email address, you know, I could hyperlink all that kind of stuff. But it seems like, and we had discussed, you know, having representation of each coalition entity on our website, and some descriptive information, of course, if you have a logo, a photograph, and you know, it can be updated from time to time too. If you have a special event coming, you know, we can include that as well. Makes sense? Any thoughts?
Maybe.
Okay. I guess we're next to the Board of Directors report, Mr. Anderson.
Okay, doke. So on the 27th of May, we sent in the corporation papers to New York State, and we are waiting for the formal acknowledgement that we are a New York State registered corporation and that we are a nonprofit organization. Following that, I will talk with Gary and Aaron, who are working on the financial matters of our coalition, and we will come up with the bank account that will then be ready to receive the $200 pledges that block associations agreed to help get our organization started. We will then be able to get the insurance broker to issue the coverage for the D&O coverage that we feel is absolutely essential. And we have a few little bills for things that involve like the registering of the website and email and Zoom account and things like that. And we'll begin our fiscal lives. We are still in consultation about IRS filings, and we'll still discuss that and look at trying to figure that out in a timely fashion. We've got a lawyer who's giving us some guidance, and the board is still trying to go through those issues. We do have a need for a board secretary, a corporate secretary. It may be that that person will not be someone who is on the board, but agrees to serve as the corporate secretary. We are in need of this person. We can make it not a thankless job. We can toast this person and celebrate this person and give them presents and all that and beg to get someone to do this. But it is an essential job, and essential workers have been given important status even in coalition activities, and we really do need someone. So now that I've completed the begging part of this, I feel that I should move on to matters that might be matters that might be more important. But I mean, that's essentially, I think, what is important now. But I think that I'm getting stopped by a number of people, especially people who'd like to be elected something or such, to recognize that we exist. And it is good to see the recognition from banding together. And hopefully we'll set up some meetings with the community board and the leadership there and figure out a way to have some presence and explore what's possible through the community board. And we will explore perhaps with police precinct meetings, with community council meetings, which are happening, and see how our visibility and participation in our civic life as block associations can be more substantive and enhanced from what it is now. So I think that's sort of, Chris, can you think of anything else that we?
Board related, no.
No, I think that's sort of the theme of where we're at here, sort of a couple of months in.
Steve, going back to the issue of secretary, I can ask the secretary of our block association if she would like to take it on.
I would beg her, if you give me her number and email address, that would be very nice, Eileen. Thank you.
I'll check with her and see.
Yeah, thank you.
By the way, it only means the job is really taking notes. And
She
they
would
can be
take
real
notes.
shorthand.
She would do recording. She doesn't take notes. She has a disability.
So how do you end up
Well,
with
then she transcribes it onto the
Okay.
computer.
Who knows?
Okay. Okay. Other business. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to share or discuss?
Well, I could give you an update on the Lucerne if you're interested.
Please.
We are now down to 78 men. And according to Project Renewal, the men will be vacating the hotel sometime in July. DHS, of course, orchestrates this whole thing, and they haven't yet given us a date of, what's going to happen. And I've been trying to explore what happens to the hotel once these homeless men move out either into permanent housing. And I do want to let you know 120 men did move into permanent housing. And I'm very thrilled for them for this. I think it's wonderful. There are a couple of shelters that the remaining men can go to. When I spoke to the 9 tenants that are permanent tenants in the Lucerne, they have been there since the 1970s. They have said to me that they have heard that the owner does want to bring it back as a luxury hotel, and clearly will have to do quite a bit of fumigation and renovation in order to make it into the type of hotel that it was before. So that is the most up-to-date information that I can give you on that.
What condition was the Lucerne in before the pandemic? It was an operating hotel, right?
Yes, it was actually, they had done a huge renovation inside and out, and it was a luxury hotel. I mean, I had a lot of friends, and my brother and sister-in-law used to stay there, and it was really quite a beautiful hotel. They redid the lobby. I mean, they redid everything, and it was in top condition when the 283 men moved in on July 27th, 28th, and 29th of 2020. And I know I've been told that they want to restore it to that particular type of condition. Of course, I'll believe it when it happens, but I'm sure it's going to cost the owner quite a lot of money to do it.
Thank you. Any other comments? I have a question, Adele. Maybe you seem to have good relations with the precinct. Is Captain Zuber on some kind of leave?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Is Captain Zuber of the 20th precinct on a leave of absence, or is he out for some period of time?
I don't know what's going on, because I sent him a couple of text messages and he always answers me immediately.
There was a story out that I believe was not flattering, and I'm wondering if that has some impact.
You're talking about some rumor?
Yeah, there was some improprieties or
Because
something.
I got about what concerns me is, correct me, but their website used to show the XO. Their website doesn't show the executive officer. And the last, I sent Zuber an email looking for some information a couple weeks ago, and it bounced back with an out of office reply of, I won't be back until 12/14, suggesting December 14th. Doesn't make sense to me that a precinct would have no command for, I mean, I guess somebody could be.
I'll see if I can find out. It may be that he just got some personal thing in his own life that is
No,
making
of course.
him unstable. Yeah, I'll find out and report back.
And we could all just, I guess, pick up the phone and call. I was just curious if somebody had any news.
I have someone I could ask. He's been a very responsive, especially with Dale. He's been very responsive and has really been through quite a challenging initiation period when he took over the precinct. And I think they have some new officers now.
Mhm.
You know,
There are 6 new officers.
I think things are, and I mean it's a hell of a job. And he and Deputy Inspector Yaguchi have been at these community board meetings every month. It's been a hell of a. So we'll find out. And there was some story that someone showed me saying I didn't really follow the whole thing. I don't know. There was some. It may have nothing to do with why anybody is not out or who the XO is. We'll find out.
Okay. Anything else?
When the pandemic started, I had a few boxes of N95, and I called him and I asked if they could use it. So he said, absolutely. Within a half hour, 2 cops knocked on the door, and I gave it to them. I said it's from the Black Association. And half hour later, they knocked on the door again with all kinds of little goodies from the station, a shield and all kinds of stuff. He sent a thank you note.
Very nice.
Yes. Okay. Hey, one other thing, when you're all sending in your block association, about our block association and information and photographs and stuff, we need to collect our social media, our particularly Twitter, I think, coordinates, so that when there's Twitter exchanges, like we know who's exchanging what. I know, for example, West 69th Street uses a couple of different Twitter accounts for different things, and I've gotten to learn what they are, and I think it's sometimes helpful to help each other with Twitter, retweeting things or liking things when it's appropriate. And so maybe if everybody has, or for those of you that have social media, if you can share that as well, that could help, us support each other. And with that,
I just got to say one last thing. Gail, thank you for all your work in making our stuff look so good, and putting in all the effort to not just get along and go along with what you felt was just not good enough, because I think it looks really spiffy. And
So can I just ask as a final thing, can we drop that last line on the logo so that it's not so type heavy? I mean, it'll be our official name, but could we drop that last line?
there are times when we might want to use it, but I think we can use the one without it a lot.
Okay.
But there are times we might want it like a letterheadish type thing where it might be useful for us.
Okay.
Like when we're recognized for a mayoral proclamation or invited to speak at the city council, I think it might be good to have something like that. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
all right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Thank you all.
At what
Thank
point
you.
are we going to set a date for the get together?
Well, we'll target what is this, the third Monday of the month, or whatever we'll keep our schedule and we'll make it work accordingly.
Okay.
All right.
third Monday of the month, right?
Good meeting.
Have a
Thank
good
you for the
night.
50-minute hours.
Have
Perfect.
fun, everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Enjoy
Bye
the
now.
game.
Bye.
Everybody.
Right.